the more people you help be successful, the more successful you're going to be. The more people you help get what they want, the more you're going to get everything you want in life.
Got it.
And it's like sales, marketing, fulfillment, success 101. And that's what we were saying, like, to be a wealthy investor, I think you have to invest in all different things.
Yeah.
Yourself, the people around you, your community, your wife, your kids. Anything that you want to do is an investment.
Project Pat, baby. What's going on?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
We got the man, the myth, the legend.
Let's go.
The MC of the year.
Let's get it.
We need to get you an award.
Man, we might need to put a logo on the award and MC of the year.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
100%. Well, I wanted to have you on because I think you have a really interesting story that a lot of people don't know. I think people see you at the events. They see you screaming. They see you cheering. They see you hyping everyone up. But you actually have one of the most unique stories I've ever heard with Grant Cardone and Brad Lea and all these people. So I guess let's get right to your story.
Cool. So I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, small town, kind of like a little big town, right? And just wanted to play music. Played music through grade school, played music through high school. I was a trumpet player because like all the main superhero themes, the main part is actually the trumpet part. So if you go listen to like Star Wars or Rocky Balboa or Superman or any of that, you'll notice that the main part is actually the trumpet part.
Okay.
And so I thought it was going to be easy because there's only 3 buttons, but I realized that it was like way harder than I thought it was going to be, just like anything in life, right?
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do is entertain people. And so I actually went to a trade school in Arizona after high school, the Conservatory of Recording Arts. It's like a 16-month program. And then I moved here to Vegas and I worked at PRG Audio off of Valley View. And we built sound systems for, Tom Petty, Madonna, Elton John, Billy Joel, Trey Anastasio from Phish, like a lot of really great people. And I kind of reached the pinnacle of production management really young, and I didn't want to do it anymore because I did a couple sound checks for those people in front of really big audiences, and I'm like, dude, I'm out. This is what I want to be. And so I went full time traveling around the country with a guitar and, really put in over a decade of performing all over the country, touring with Cypress Hill and Afro Man and Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. I played gigs with him. He's got an acoustic thing he does called The Weatherman. And there's all these different places that I played, and I wasn't really making a whole lot of money, but I was doing what I loved. And then I made an Instagram video that got picked up by Gary Vee. And I played at his book signing in San Diego. And I had this conversation with him about where I wanted to go with everything. And if I could just get in front of like business people, I feel like they'll understand me more than the bar people. And you know how Gary is. He's like, oh, yeah, dude, I love your passion. You're freaking awesome. And, dude, what you made for us was great. Double down. In fact, triple down. Make 3 of those videos a day, and you're going to break through. You're going to break through barriers. And I'm like, dude, this guy is exactly in real life as how he is on videos. So you guys are like, if this guy's real or not, he's real. And so that's what I did. I was making 3 little funny acoustic guitar songs a day, little 15 to 30 second songs. And I made one for Grant Cardone. And his wife messaged me. And then by this time, by the way, I'm 35 years old by this point. And I'm singing in bars in California, making $100, $200 a night. This is only 5 years ago. And I'm like, hey, I want to play at your event. I made this video. What do you think? And she's like, oh my gosh, I love it. Grant's going to post it. And so like I shared it with him and I'm like looking on my Instagram and I'm like, man, I don't see the video going up. I wonder if they're actually going to post it. And then like in the middle of my little $100 gig that night, people are walking up to me and they're like, dude, you're on that guy's page with your sunglasses and everything. And that was it. I followed up with them crazy. I drove here from San Diego with my pregnant wife to close them in person.
You drove to Las Vegas.
Yeah. So like I followed up, wasn't getting a no, wasn't getting a yes. And then I closed that deal with them in person. I broke into Cole Hatter's Make Money Matter event.
All right, tell the story.
And,
tell the story.
And closed them in the hallway.
Yeah.
And then
let's go in detail. So you lived in San Diego.
Right.
Your wife was pregnant.
Yeah.
You knew that Grant Cardone was having an event in Vegas.
Yep. 10x2.
10x2. And what made you come here? Like, what was going on in your head?
So, like I said, I had been promoting myself on social media and making songs and playing gigs for literally 15 years. And I was like, all I need is one break. If I can just get in front of the right audience. I know that I've been playing every night for over a decade. I know I got the skills. I had the right mindset. I was just in the wrong environments. The people that I was around weren't following Gary Vee or Grant Cardone. And so it was tough for me to have conversations with people that I had built relationships with about where I wanted to go because they just didn't get it. And so it was just one of these things where it's the only person I ever talked to about it was my wife. Like, if my wife hears me give her one more Gary Vee quote, she's going to freaking slam the door on my office.
Yeah.
But she's like, listen, if you really want the deal, and Elena Cardone is speaking, let's just go there and talk to him about it.
And she's pregnant.
And she was pregnant at the time, yeah. Okay. So they knew who I was because I had kept sharing videos with them and they kept posting them on the page.
Got it.
And so we drove to Vegas. There was an event going on and there was like the late night mastermind.
Yeah.
And we literally snuck past security into the like mastermind area at the pool.
Yeah.
And found them in the hallway. And I was like, dude, listen, it's Pat Hilton. I've been messaging you about playing at the 10x2 conference. He's like, yeah, I know who you are. You're the Jingle Man. And I'm like, dude, I literally snuck past security. So I only have a couple minutes here, seconds. I need this 10 minutes, man. And you know me.
Yeah.
I got all emotional. And I'm like,
crying?
dude, yeah.
No
it always
way.
happens to me, dude.
Yeah.
I made it all the way through WealthCon, and Tim's story got me all crying right at the end. I made it all the way 2 days. But yeah, man, it just came out. And I think that he could just tell, like, all I need is this opportunity, man. I'm singing in bars. You've lived in La Jolla.
Yeah.
You get it. And it's just all I need is 10 minutes in front of the right audience, and it'll change everything. And it's like tears start coming out of my eyes, and I'm like, dude, what do you think, man? And he kind of like looked over at Elena, and she gave him like the look, like that wife look that you get where like you don't say no to anything when your wife gives you that look. She was like,
oh, okay.
And he was like, yeah, you got the deal. Yeah, the Jingle Man on the lunch break. So literally I had put like 15 years of touring and performing and sacrifices and sleeping in my van and being homeless and not having any money. And this dude put me on stage in front of, it was the lunch break. I would say it was halfway full. So there were probably 5,500 people in the room when I played.
Okay.
And the calls just started coming in. Can you do this conference? Can you produce our podcast? Can you make a song for our roofing company?
Really?
Can you do this? Can you do that? And I quit the bars like a month later and built the agency, the social media agency.
What?
So I went from being like Pat Hilton, the acoustic force, like that was my tagline, to Acoustic Force Media and like providing people social media because I wanted to get out of that bar environment.
Got it.
So I quit the bars, went all in. My wife quit her job, and then we moved to Texas, and I launched the company out of a spare bedroom, and now we're doing $60,000 a month.
There you go.
And I went from $100 gigs to getting paid $10,000 a job, and it's like we're doing these gigs in front of thousands of people with you and Ryan, and it's like, dude, all my dreams came true.
Yeah. So let's talk about how much did Grant Cardone pay you to do the lunch break?
So the lunch break, I just did it for free.
There you go. That's what I wanted to ask.
I played the lunch break for free. And I played that Gary Vee book signing event. I played that for free.
Yeah.
So all that stuff that like led up to what I'm doing now, I did so much stuff for free.
Yeah.
To build those relationships.
Yeah. So I remember, when I first got my real estate license, right? I was a bartender, worked at Little Caesars. Like I had no business experience.
Pizza.
Yeah, pizza. Exactly. That was me for years. And I met this guy. Well, I heard of this guy named Craig Tan. And he's like this flashy realtor. He had like an Audi, beautiful team, like nice office. So I walked into his office. He didn't know who I was. And I saw him walk by. I was like, hey, Craig, like, I want to work with you. You know, can you give me a shot? He's like, come back tomorrow.
Really?
I was like, okay. So at the time, I didn't have any suits. I didn't have none of this stuff. Yeah,
Right.
like I didn't know how to tie a tie. So I go to Express. I buy some slacks and like a button down, all this crap. Show up the next day. And he was like, all right, you know, like, why should you be on our team? And I was like, Craig, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. If you tell me to put out signs, I'll put up signs. If you tell me to go knock on doors, I'll knock on doors. Just, I don't have any experience, but whatever you want, I'll do it. I didn't negotiate pay. I didn't negotiate anything. I was just like, bro, whatever you want. And because I did that, that changed my life. I would not be where I'm at today, multimillionaire, all this crap, because I learned everything from him in the beginning. I had nothing to offer. And I think a lot of people get things confused where they want to negotiate stupid deals up front.
It's not worth it. Just deliver.
Exactly. And that's the same thing with Ryan. So when I first started following up with Ryan to mentor me, I was like, dude, I'll give you half of my deals. I'll pay you. How much money do you want? I wasn't like, hey, you know, mentor me, you know, let me buy you coffee. I was like, bro, I'll give you money. What do you want? Like,
Right.
Literally, like, if you have a course, I'll buy it. If you have a book, I'll buy it. If you start a coaching, I will pay. If you have a mastermind, he launched a mastermind. I was the first person to buy it because I was just like, dude, whatever I could give you, I know I'm going to get 100 times in return. And that's what it sounded like with Grant Cardone.
And I've taken that same philosophy, and that's what Gary and I talked about. I made this funny tune. I had been making those tunes for 10 years on Facebook, and people are like, dude, that stuff you make is so stupid. And I'm like, okay, so it kind of is. Like sometimes people are falling off skateboards, and I'm like, this guy fell off his skateboard. And people are like, how does this even make sense that you're ever going to make money doing this? And I'm like, it's not about making money. It's about figuring out how to edit this in a way that if I make the right one for the right person and I'm prepared, that it will convert to an opportunity.
Yeah.
But they didn't get that.
Yeah.
And so when Grant Cardone was trying to get verified on Instagram, and he was like, hey, you know, if you're a hungry hustler, you remember where he would get his phone up and be like, hey, listen, all you hungry hustlers out there, you know, if you're an artist or a rapper or whatever, I'm trying to get verified on Instagram. I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a month with these guys. They won't give me my blue check. Send me something. And I'm like, dude, this is it. Grant Cardone needs to get verified on Instagram. And it was like, dude, that was it. Elena was like, oh my gosh, can you send us the file? Like, I was prepared. But I also did it for free because, and then I sent them another one and another one and another one and another one. It was like DJ Khaled showed up in their inbox. And dude, it was awesome because that built what we were talking about before the show, the relationship capital, the trust, and the belief that this guy's got something and we're going to keep uploading it. They're getting hundreds of thousands of views. So when I walked up to him in the hallway, it was like I belonged in the conversation with him. He knew exactly it's the jingle man. You're the guy that writes the jingles. Like, dude, hey. So we snuck in here. And I need the lunch break. And here's where people get confused. I wasn't pitching him for 40 minutes like you two to close out the show. I pitched him at a time where I could slide in, do my thing, be out of his hair, and get what I needed and provide him some value where there was no risk. And that was part of my negotiation on the back end. Like, why would anyone say no to someone that wants to come and sing on their stage and wear their gear and tell everybody this is such a huge opportunity for me? Why wouldn't you want that? It was a no-brainer for him. That's why I got the yes.
Okay, so you got the yes, you played at 10X, and then people start blowing you up to do their stuff, and then what happened?
And so then I was like, okay, well, I need to build a real company. And so that was when, like, I called Brad. Brad Lea was the guy I met backstage at that event because he had spoken the first day. And so I started talking to him because, you know, he's back there looking all sharp.
Yeah.
And he's got his baller shades on. He's taking pictures with everybody. His wife's a sweetheart. She's hanging out with Jared Glant's wife. And I'm like, yo, these are my people. But, you know, I can't be acting like I'm on his level because I'm not. This is something people get confused too. Don't be afraid to just be honest about where you're at.
Yeah.
That's another reason why he said yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't asking for jet pictures or anything. I wasn't trying to I need this because, dude, this do or die for my family. And it's the same thing with Brad. I'm like, hey, listen, man, I'm Pat. I just played at the lunch break. You know, what'd you think, dude? I wrecked it, huh? He's like, yeah, it was pretty dope.
Yeah.
You know how Brad is. It was pretty good. And I'm like, dude, so what do I need to do to be a baller speaker like you? And he was like, well, first off, you need to quit spinning around on stage with that guitar like a dipshit. And I was like, what? He's like, baller speaker, goofy guitar guy, make up your mind. Dude, but he had a good point, right? And so one thing I've learned is that when you ask somebody what you need to do, it's not necessarily going to be what you want to do. It's not going to be what you want to hear. It's not going to be maybe what you wanted to get out of the 10X event, but what I actually got out of the 10X event was that little musical thing I do is only one piece of this full pie of skills that I have. And it is applicable when that little category is necessary. But when that category isn't necessary, I have all these other skills. And I never really had anyone point that out. He goes, you remember in the hallway at the old Hard Rock? I always have to talk like Brad, or I can't, or it doesn't apply. And I'm like, you were there? He's like, I was in the hallway when you and your wife pulled in, closed Grant Cardone, and walked right past the BL like he wouldn't shit. And if you know Brad, you know that's like, did this guy really just waltz in and walk right past me?
Yeah.
No way. And I'm like, interesting. He goes, what you're not realizing is that's the real skill that you have. It's just that no one's actually pointed out. You've got this great emotion, these great speaking skills. You're a great communicator. You're passionate. You've got the eye contact and all these things, but you've never been taught how to sell. So you just went up there today and told this beautiful story, had everyone, tears are coming out of everybody's eyes. Their credit cards are in their hands. And then you start singing and being goofy and say, hey, thanks for the opportunity, and leave. You could have closed the whole room. Now you're still going to get deals and you're taking pictures, and that's great, but that's what you need to become if you want to be a baller speaker, which, by the way, there's no such thing as a baller speaker. You're either a baller or you're not, dog.
He told you all that backstage?
Real quick. I mean, this is within like 46 seconds. Like, it was like,
what
boom, boom,
the
boom, boom,
hell?
boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do with the music thing? What do I do with the video talent? He goes, dude, you got to turn it into packages. Like, he gave me the whole formula for everything that I do today in February of 2018. So what are you good at? Videos. You closed Grant Cardone with a video, and then you showed up in person and closed him. So it created the conversation, the sequence to do a close. And I'm like, yeah. I didn't know anything at this point in time, by the way. I didn't even know a sequence. Yeah, cool. And he's like, so you need to create monthly packages where you create videos and graphics and stuff for people, and you run their social media page, and you do for them what you just did for yourself to get them opportunities like you did at 10X. Because now you have the proof that it's possible because you just did it. And then that's what you go sell, and then you turn into more of like a host and an MC and a speaker at the events.
What do you think?
And that's exactly what I did. Starting the next day. And now I'm emceeing his closer school event in Las Vegas, and that's why I'm in town.
100%.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's a crazy story. So, like, I guess talk to me about Brad Lea. I don't know him personally. I just kind of see him online, but he seems to be brilliant.
He's extremely brilliant. So Brad Lea runs a company called Lightspeed VT. It's a virtual training system where he helps experts get their message out to the masses using digital technology.
Yeah.
So people like Damon John the Shark, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, all those guys' coaching system, Kevin Harrington, like the original Shark.
Yeah.
All those people built their coaching systems on the virtual training platform Lightspeed VT.
Really?
Yeah.
Tony Robbins?
Tony Robbins is on there, yeah.
way.
And so everyone from, like that's Sam Taggart, Andy Elliott, the guys that are speaking at Closer School, Rene Rodriguez, all those people have VT systems with Brad's company.
Wow.
And so they know how to negotiate and close and set up these sequences. And I didn't realize that I was doing any of these things well or okay.
Yeah.
I was just doing me.
Yeah.
And so I think that when you're passionate about something and you're trying to fulfill your purpose, and I just wanted to entertain people and make fun videos and get paid and like take care of my family and do it in an honest way.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that I was actually creating sales sequences by giving people value, following up with them, and then going out and doing it in person, showcasing my talent, which then made that person look even more valuable because now look at what I'm able to bring to the table.
Yeah. But talk to me about him personally.
So
Like, I get his
personally, I
business.
think that Brad's one of the most loyal people in the space. I actually think that it's one of those things like the cream rises to the top, right? So a guy like Brad that's helped work with that many people, he clearly knows how to bring the best out of people. And he clearly knows how to scout talent. Or those people wouldn't even be on his platform. He clearly closed them on those deals, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a family man. He's married.
Yeah.
His wife is a sweetheart, and he's got 3 little girls, and they live out here. His office is right over there in Southern Highlands. I think I said it right. I usually
There you
say
go.
Southern Highlands because I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
But dude, he's great.
Yeah.
And I think that the real people that want to see people win, that have made money, they want to see people grow. And I think that's part of the reason why him, Andy Frisella, the Gary V's, they were willing to respond to my messages, take my calls, and put me on opportunities because they wanted to see me grow. They don't want to see people fail. People that are willing to put in the time and ask questions and learn, they are willing to put time into people. And over the course of 3, 4, 5 years, I've implemented everything that guy's told me to do, from even going and buying my sport coats at Boss. So I don't look like an idiot when I MC jobs. It's like all those little things matter.
Yeah.
But I do it the next day. Somebody gives me advice, I implement it right away. We were talking about me having a space for the media agency. I'm going to look into exactly what we talked about the next day. Hey, here's what I think we should look into.
Yeah.
If it works, it works. Maybe we pivot or adjust a little bit. But when someone who's done something at a high level gives you advice, you have to execute right away.
Yeah.
People who wait, that time, that clock ticks, and your window of opportunity disappears.
100%. And then the person that gave you advice, if you don't follow up on it, they don't take you serious.
They don't take you seriously at all, and they shouldn't really.
No, because then you wasted their time.
Yeah, and so I think that as a person, he really genuinely wants to see people win, which is why he posts so much stuff online. His podcast is one of the #1 podcasts, Dropping Bombs. And it's like he doesn't necessarily need or to do any of that stuff. But he does it because #1, it's fun. #2, it sharpens his skills.
Yeah.
And #3, it just helps him communicate his messaging and his humor and all these little parts of his personality that people in this space love so much.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best guys in the space, hands down.
That's crazy. So
And he's going to be at WealthCon in Las Vegas, so get your tickets now.
Shout out to Brad Lea, speaking at WealthCon. So you meet Brad Lea, gives you this advice. You're selling. What are you selling exactly, I guess?
Social media packages. At
Got
that
it.
point, the videos were mainly like Square videos.
Okay.
So you'd get like a Square video on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then like a graphic on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or whatever.
Okay.
Right? And then I would like manage your page. And so I was doing it all myself.
Yeah.
And then I was like producing podcasts and making songs and this and that. So I hadn't really locked into like the vertical video concept yet because all the different platforms had all these different formats and none of it matched.
Yeah.
It's like in 2018, 2019, there wasn't a lot of matching in the formats. That vertical format was just Snapchat. And then Instagram stories stole the Snapchat thing and turned it into stories.
Got it.
And then TikTok came out with the vertical format. And then Instagram stole it and turned it into Facebook Reels. And then YouTube stole it and turned it into Shorts. And so I think that around like 2020 to 2021, right when the pandemic hit, really, people really started seeing that like, hey, Pat's doing all these events. He's working with all these influencers, managing pages, getting a bunch of views. I need to be on social media.
Yeah.
And so we started getting more and more and more calls. And that was when everything went to like vertical video.
Got it. And how did you like meet Carlos Reyes?
So Carlos, I met him at a real estate meetup in Dallas. We left California shortly after that 10X event and moved to Dallas because it was just more affordable. Schools for the kids is what my wife wanted. And just no tax. We were finally starting to make a little bit of money. And I'm like, I'm not giving it to Gavin Newsom. I don't think anyone can really blame me for that.
We're going to have to bleep this out. They're going to freaking take us down.
No, they're going to love us. Yeah, hey, go for it. Gavin, you're cool, man. I just wanted to pay an announcement. Shout out, Gavin. You know, go do your thing, buddy. I'm going to do my thing. You do yours. No hate. But it was just better for us.
Yeah.
And so we started focusing on the vertical video. And that was right about the time that, like, Ryan, I think, started going viral, was when Carlos was really starting to put me on his events as an MC in like 2020. So I think I met you and Ryan at an all-in event like a year later in like 2021.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
And that was when I was really catching steam with the company was really starting to hit.
Yeah.
2021 was the first year that I ever made six figures.
There you go.
And I was 38 years old.
Wow.
So I think it's important for people to remember, and we talked about this before the show too, like if you're at an event like a WealthCon event, which, you know, you should have already bought a ticket, but if you haven't, buy one today. You know, you got to understand that all of us on the stage have been in the position that you might be in where you just need a deal.
Yep.
You just need a relationship. You just need an opportunity. But I encourage you to not sit in the back and be afraid and hide in the corner because we are so passionate about helping you get where you want to go because there's people that paved the way for me, like the Brads and the Carlos Reyes's and the Ryan Pinay. Ryan hired me because I met him at Carlos's event. And if I never would have taken Brad's advice, I never would have been an MC.
Yeah.
And so like all these little things started to happen for me once I started allowing myself to listen to people give me what I needed to do and I executed on it.
Yeah.
But how are you guys ever going to execute on anything if you don't shake hands and ask questions? 100%. And that's Brad Lea 101. Yeah. The more hands you shake, the more money you make.
Beautiful. So, okay, so Carlos was in
Dallas.
Dallas.
I met Carlos at a Dallas event, free meetup. And this is after 10X. So I'm like still playing my guitar for free and stuff. I want to meet Carlos. I want to meet Sal. And so I met them at a Propelio event in Dallas with Ryan Harper. You remember Ryan?
Yeah, kind of.
Super nice dude. I think Donovan Ruffin was speaking at that event.
Yeah.
And we met, and I was like, dude, just let me come jam at Momentum. Let me come jam with the guitar. And so he was like, dude, honestly, I think you should come and host the whole show.
Yeah.
Because like I've seen you tell your story, but it's like it's time for you to really like step into the next Pat 2.0.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so I went out there and I emceed the event and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I ever really positioned myself as like an authority or a speaker or like a CEO or any of that. Because I think that, and this goes back to what I was just saying too. I think that we think of ourselves as just play small, be happy you got opportunities, and don't try and step on anyone's toe. You know, these people got money. You don't want to F it up or anything.
Yeah.
There's my live edit. And it's true. And I feel like we put ourselves in a corner and we corner ourselves and we corner our earnings and we stifle our potential when really we should be really excited to go out there and grow.
Yeah.
And so when somebody like Carlos encourages that, he's like, dude, I've seen you do this and that. Why don't you come host it and MC instead of, playing on the breaks?
Yeah.
And that was like the first time I really showed up and like was the host of the event.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, welcome to All In Momentum. I'm Pat Hilton. We're going to be teaching you guys how to take your real estate game, from 6 figures to 7 figures to 8-figure business. How many people want to make more money? Like, it was the first time that I really started having that conversation with the audience. Yeah. And it was pretty easy for me because I had hosted so many gigs that I knew how to communicate with people.
So Carlos is a visionary because
he is.
To meet someone and you weren't currently an MC.
Not at all.
And allow them to speak in front of 1,000 people.
Right.
You have to have some faith and some vision of seeing potential in you.
He just knew.
Yeah.
It was weird, dude. It really was. He's like, and you know how Carlos is. He's like, brother, I just have this feeling. And you know how he like puts his hand on your shoulder?
Yeah.
Like Carlos is kind of like a lost prophet, And he's like, I feel like God brought this moment into your life and that it's time for you to, step up and, be the CEO and the husband and the man that you're meant to be. And I've seen you being this literally like right out of his playbook. And, I see you on the internet and I follow your streams and you're hilarious and you're fun, but I know there's this raw side of you that's meant to grow and blossom. And brother, I think it's time for you to step into that. And I think that Momentum is the perfect place for that. And so we want you to come out and, we'll take care of everything and we'll make sure that you're compensated. And, how does that sound? And I was like, huh? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it. And of course I said yes. And we booked it. And I'm like, what am I actually going to say to these people? I don't do real estate. I've never closed a real estate deal. I don't really have any interest in walking through dumpy houses and like closing deals.
Yeah.
I did just what I always do. I just went up there and was honest.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a great opportunity for all of us. When you make it about the people, you can't lose.
Yeah.
When you make it about the audience and what do they need, you can't lose. And again, I didn't know this back then, but I know it now. Zig Ziglar's like famous quote, or Jim Rohn or whoever it was.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on anything but the quote.
Yeah.
But the more people you help be successful, the more successful you're going to be. The more people you help get what they want, the more you're going to get everything you want in life.
Got it.
And it's like sales, marketing, fulfillment, success 101. And that's what we were saying, like to be a wealthy investor, I think you have to invest in all different things.
Yeah.
Yourself, the people around you, your community, your wife, your kids, anything that you want to do is an investment.
Yeah.
And all of these things leading up to that conversation with Carlos were an investment. I was still playing for free at that meetup because I needed to meet the right people and continue to get better. And or that conversation with Carlos would have never happened.
Yeah.
And I went out there and, I wrecked the place like I always do. And that was really what sparked like the next level of growth. And again, all of the areas in my life.
Yeah.
We started selling bigger packages. We started getting people on higher monthly retainers. It was like Carlos signed up for our stuff. And then everyone was like, oh man, Carlos is doing stuff with you.
Yeah.
We want to work with you. How much does it cost to have you MC and this and that and the other thing? And and that's how I met you guys.
100%.
I introduced Ryan and Ryan was like, called me. And I remember when Ryan called me to MC his event because I was like, oh man, it's Ryan Pineda.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, Ryan Pineda just messaged me on Instagram, and now my phone's ringing, and it's Ryan Pineda. And you know, his picture comes like right up because he's got his phone all set up, his hair's all perfect, and I'm like, okay, well, I better accept the call.
That's
and
hilarious.
so, you know, we figured out what I was going to do for Future Flipper, and I mean, look at where it's grown from there. Even just me working with you guys.
Yeah. So I want to tell a story about Carlos Reyes.
Do it.
I went to his first Freedom event. I think it was Freedom, which it was like the newbie one. So I remember me
2019, probably.
2019.
Yeah.
Yep. So me and my buddy Eric from California drove to Phoenix, and this was like, I feel like this was a special moment in the wholesaler community because we had like Donovan Ruffin, like Terry, like all these people that were just starting.
Keith Everett.
Yes, like he wasn't there, but there was a lot of people. Like if you go to the All In website, there's a picture from that event where you could see all these different people.
All-stars.
Yeah, that eventually grew to all-stars. So I remember I was there. It was so exciting. I remember he surprised everyone with who's that wholesaler, the he's like a legend in the space. He's like an older guy. He's been doing it for a while.
Is it Sean Terry?
Sean Terry.
Yeah.
So Sean Terry started, they announced, hey, Sean Terry's going to be here all of a sudden.
Flip Your Freedom or Flip to Freedom or whatever.
Flip to Freedom.
He's
all this
great,
stuff.
too.
Yeah.
He's a killer speaker.
He is. So I remember being there sitting up front. I remember, you know, he just bought like a diamond watch. I remember I went to the VIP day. He drove me in his Rolls Royce.
Oh, wow.
I was like, holy crap. Like my mind at the time was blown because I was just starting to get into the investment space. So I was like, dude, this guy's balling. I see his office. I see the acquisitions, the dispositions, the Rolls Royce, the watches, you know, everything. And it changed my life because there's a difference between seeing stuff on TV and on YouTube and then being there in person.
And feeling it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it wasn't just the event. It was like riding in his car, seeing his watch, meeting his employees, seeing the office. They were in a high rise before. I think you remember with the
that
view.
place. Yeah.
So just seeing all that in person to me was just like life changing. So Carlos Reyes will always have like a special part in my heart for allowing me to come to his office. I paid, but still allowing me to come there and experience all that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, I think that people like him, and that's why I love to give props to these people.
Yep.
People like him, people like the Brads, you know, Gary, Cardone. There's a reason why so many people love these folks.
Yeah.
And it's because they opened their eyes to, well, wait a minute, more is possible here.
Yeah.
There's so much more that's possible here. Like if Grant would have never shared my video, maybe 6 or 12 months later, I would have stopped making them.
Yeah.
Because it was like not really getting picked up by anybody.
Yeah.
But he was like, man, you're brilliant. You got this great talent. You know what I mean? I think it's great. Yeah, hit up Sherry from the office. Let's see if we can make that work. And I was like, this guy thinks I'm worth playing at his event potentially. Just even the potential of that happening was like, dude, you got to make this work.
Yeah.
You got to do whatever it takes to make this happen for yourself.
Yeah.
But also for this dude. Like, and now like years and years later where we're at now, those people are so proud because I've seen Elena a couple times since then. Let's face the facts. Elena got me the gig. Okay. Elena's the real, runs the show in the Cardone household. All right. Let's just cut to the chase. E, the queen, got it done. Shout out to EC. But real talk, it's like I've seen her a couple different times because we have some female investors and masterminds that we do social media for, and she spoke at their events, and I just came to see her speak and hang out and stuff, and I was like, man, thank you so much for putting me on that. It brings me to tears now because I was, and every time I see her, and I'm like, I would never let you down, ever. And she's like, you know what? That's what makes, you know, the 1 in a million people special, because we do a lot for people, and sometimes we just don't hear back.
Yeah.
And it's
100%.
like those people, all they want to see is results.
Yeah. They want to see you take action.
You know, so Carlos seeing you successful or me successful or any of those, Keith Everett, Donovan Ruffin, all those people that came through the programs and they're winning, like that's so fulfilling for those people. And there's a 100%. Guy, Alex Costa, who's a part of your guys' programs.
Yeah.
And I did a wealthy creator call with him just to talk about social and this and that. And they were like, hey, go ahead and like pitch your business. You guys are so cool about that. We want you to get deals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I don't want to like be in there and make it a pitch fest. And I'm like, who hasn't done a video in here? And like we walked through a whole sequence for him. And he made a video and posted it on that call. And it got him some big deal with like Monster Energy or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
And every time I see him at your events, he's like, dude, I just want to tell you thank you for helping me get through that. And like, dude, it makes me emotional because I'm like, dude, if I would have quit at any point in these last 20 years, I wouldn't have been able to help that guy.
Yeah. And I think, so for me,
it's just so worth it.
I know. I remember
And that's, by the way, that's like the first time that's ever happened to me. So don't be thinking that like that happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I'm new to that feeling, but boy, that felt good.
Yeah. So luckily being a coach for so long,
right.
I've had that feeling where you talk to a student or a client and they're just like really broke and they're in a hard spot. And like I could give 100 literal examples, but I'll give one. I remember I spoke to a young kid named Abel in California. I don't know if you know him, but he was a gym trainer. He had a wife and a young daughter, and he reached out to me because he was in the rookie coaching program, Wealthy Investor.
Got it.
And he was like, dude, like, just, you know, laid it all out there, right?
It was hard times.
It was hard times, you know, and it maybe not like hard times like, oh, I'm sleeping outside, but knowing that there's more in life, but then you're kind of just like, oh, I don't get, why am I stuck at this job?
Yep.
Like, why is everyone else succeeding, but I'm stuck here?
Yep.
So he laid it out there. I remember I was talking to him at like 6 or 7 p.m. at night. I was at my house. And after our conversation, I was like, listen, bro, you have everything it takes to be successful. And I'm not just saying that to you. Like, I could just tell in the things that you're saying and how you're speaking to me, bro, you're going to be successful no matter what if you don't give up. Like, and he was like, are you serious? I was like, bro, trust me. Like, just follow the system, start wholesaling, start doing the cold calls, start doing all this stuff. And I guarantee you, you will be successful. Like, there's no denying it. He starts doing what we say and all this crap. And then I remember I closed like one deal with him where he made like 50K. Just him. And then we closed another deal that he made like 35K or something like that. Like big.
It's a lot of money.
Yes. For someone who has a job to go do that. And that's just 2 deals. That's not like all the other deals that I see him closing.
Yep.
So when I'm around those people and I'm like, bro, remember when you were at the gym and you were freaking not making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year? Like, I have students where we would be on calls and they're literally in a broken car, like a car that doesn't work. We're on a Zoom call and they're like, dude, like, I'm struggling. I don't know if I'm going to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you're just like, trust me, do these things, do the cold calls. I know it's so annoying. Like, do this. And then to see them come out of it is worth more than everything. And I'm not the most emotional person. I'm like very cold, but I still feel like really happy for them. So
yeah, it's a personality thing.
Yeah,
I'm an artist, so I'm
yeah.
I'm an emotional artist, guys.
Yeah. I'm super cold.
I get it.
But I still...
You're data driven.
Yeah, I'm very data driven. I'm like bottom line driven. But still, when I see those people, I'm like, bro, I'm so happy for you that like to see you from where you started to where you're at is like amazing. And that's why I love Wealthy Investor. And that's why like I'm just super straightforward with it. Like, real estate is the easiest, fastest way to make money, in my opinion. Like, all these other things are great, but time and time again, real estate shows that for the rest of our lives, real estate's going to be longer than you and I.
Oh,
your
big time.
house. Your house it's gonna go up, it's gonna go down.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna sell it and make money. Someone's gonna buy it.
But it's gonna be there.
It's gonna be there.
Wiley, Texas isn't gonna disappear.
Exactly. and that was the thing too. When I first started real estate, I was like, I didn't realize that everything is real estate. Everything is real estate.
Yeah.
We're sitting in an office right now that somebody owns, that we're paying rent to. It didn't click for me until I got my real estate license. And I was like, holy shit, like even Little Caesars rather owns or rents.
Yep.
Everything is real estate driven. So yeah, that's why I love Wealthy Investor, to be honest.
It's great. And like I said too, I think it's important for people who watch these shows or podcasts or get into the communities or even Ryan's free group. Like you should be in all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Any resource that you can do to make the connection that you need to make, it is going to end up coming down to like one person that shakes your hand, and that's going to be what shoots you into the atmosphere.
It's the Craig Tans, the Carlos Reyes, the Ryan Pineda.
Right. I don't know what it's going to be for you guys, but like it's always comes down to like you're one relationship away.
Yeah.
And those little slogans, they sound so hokey.
Yeah.
And I'm like the biggest roaster of like guru shit on the whole planet.
Yeah.
But the only reason why that stuff is still here is because it is true.
Yeah. Last thing I want to talk about. So when I worked at the casinos, I used to work at the Palms. I worked at the MGM. I remember I would work at the bar, right? Working at the bar, helping, serving drinks, all this stuff.
Right.
We got the people that I look up to are, who do you think? In that workspace, who am I looking up to? I'm a
the managers, the bartenders.
Yep.
And then whoever comes in to fulfill the stuff that gets to just drop off bottles of beer and leave and they get paid.
Exactly. So let's talk about the managers and the bartenders, right? Because I'm a bar back. Of course, I'm like, dude, I want to be like the
be a bartender.
Exactly. So what are the bartenders and managers doing on their off time?
Drinking.
Exactly. And gambling.
Right.
That's what these people are doing. It sucks to say it, but like I'm a bar back. There's 5 bartenders that work there. All of them gamble. All of them get off and then go around the counter, get in front of a little slot machine and smoke. And that's what I was seeing for years.
Yep.
And guess what I started doing?
Same thing.
The exact same thing. And then guess what? NFL season came and guess what they're doing? Betting on games.
Oh, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a cycle. And I started gambling. And then I'm drinking. And then I'm going to clubs. And then I'm thinking that I'm living this great lifestyle. And then, hanging around with the cocktail waitresses and then the other bar backs. And it's just like a weird little subculture.
Oh, I know, because I was like the musician.
Yeah.
So if you were the bar back and then there's the bartender and the bar manager, I would drink with the bar manager because he pays me a couple $100 to play every Wednesday.
Exactly.
So I was kind of a piece of what you're talking about.
Exactly. So I remember when
it becomes toxic.
It does. And I remember, so I used to work there and I remember I was like, dude, like, I think I should do something else because my mother was a cocktail waitress, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? But she did that for a long time. And the way that the industry works here is like they open a new casino, right? It's cool. It's trending. Everything's great. Everyone's making money. But guess what happens? It eventually starts going down.
Yeah. Something opens across the street.
Exactly. A new club comes and then all the talent goes there and then slowly it starts going down. And I remember I was at the Palms when it first opened and it was like hot, lines were long, tips were big.
Yep.
And then I slowly started seeing it go down. And I remember all my friends were like, yeah, I'm going to go work at the Wynn now and the Encore. And I remember I would, clean up cups and like serve drinks. And like, that was the real job. It sounds cool. Like, oh, you're a bartender, but you're sitting in front of someone who's in front of a slot machine, smoking and drinking.
Yeah.
Like, And eventually I was like, bro, I got to do something else.
Right.
And I, got my real estate license. And once I got my real estate license and I saw how much money other people were making and the potential, and I didn't have to work from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and sit there all night, it was like a shift that happened where I would be at work. Let's say you're the bartender, you're talking to me, but in my mind, I'm like, I am not going to be here. Like, there's no way this is my life.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a switch.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Because when I first started to do like free events, like I had played a bunch of conferences for free in between when I had the Gary Vee conversation and the Cardone event. Like I was starting to kind of infiltrate these business events as like a personality. And then I would have to go back and play in Dana Point, Laguna Beach, La Jolla, Seal Beach every single week, dude. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then sometimes I'd take the Saturday off, drive to Scottsdale, play a little event, hang out with like Sean Whalen or whoever, and then come back. But I remember being at those gigs, and after a while, like I was saying earlier, I would talk to people and they just didn't even know what I was talking about. In fact, I was interviewed at one event by Scott Duffy from Entrepreneur. Like it was like 3 or 4 or 5 people. It was like a live stream, and I was on it, and I was telling this girl that bartends, I'm like, dude, I was just on Entrepreneur. It's working. And she was like, what's that? And I was like, and I wasn't even really upset. I was just like, yeah, dude.
Yeah. You're just like,
you're on your way, but like, stay in your corner tonight. And but it became toxic. Like I was drinking more and smoking more and whatever to cope with the fact that like I got to sing Wagon Wheel again. Dude, I'm so much better than this.
That's how I felt too.
And I think that you almost start to like take it out on yourself.
I think so.
And so that's what I was saying. I want to make sure I encourage people out there that if you feel like you're cornered or if you feel like you're in a situation like we're describing, we've been there.
100%.
But dude, step out, cut the noise. Like once I quit drinking, quit smoking, I got totally sober. I'm almost 5 years sober. Dude, I listened to what Brad said. I took the Carlos opportunities, grew into this new version of myself. And it's like my whole life changed.
Let's talk about being sober, because I don't know how this is going to go. But so for me, right, when I was 15.
Let's do it. One more topic,
being sober. So I remember when I was 15 is when I started like smoking and drinking. Right?
You were way younger than me.
I was way younger, and it might have been a little bit before that. But I remember that I just thought it was cool. I was like, all the cool kids are doing it. And then I started doing it, and then it was like fun. And then, I was in high school. And then it got to the point where I was doing it like every day.
Right.
Yeah. So I would wake up in the morning as a high schooler.
And toke before school?
Drink.
Man, this dude was a bad kid.
Yeah. I was a bad kid. So drink and then smoke before school.
Man.
Go to school, ditch school, go do that all day, come home from school, do that all day. And I just did that for a long time. And then even as like when I was working at the casinos, drinking and just I lived that lifestyle for a solid 10 years.
Oh, I know all about the 10 years.
A solid 10 years. And I remember I got my real estate license, right? And I was cold calling, but I did some stuff in the morning. So I'm a little,
You were a little
I was a little out
geeked.
of my head. Yeah, I was a little geeked. And I remember I was at the office and someone asked me, they're like, hey, are you like okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And they're like, yeah, you seem off. I was like, no, it's just a hard morning. Like, I remember people would always ask me like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? You seem like out of it.
Right.
And I remember as a real estate agent, the only way I would get deals is by cold calling, right? So I remember I was cold calling someone and I said, hey, like, do you want to sell your house? They answered. And I was like, oh, okay. yeah, so like, do you want to sell your house? And the person on the phone was like, are you okay? And I was like, what?
no.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? And they're like, you just asked me that. And I was like, oh, okay. And I almost just started like being too messed up all the time, where I was like, okay. And I got off the phone. And when that happened, I was like, okay, like I have to like get off of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and it sounds stupid because I know I'll speak to people sometimes and they're like, oh, it helps me concentrate. Oh, it makes me think
That's
more.
a bunch of bullshit. It just is.
Yeah, it is.
And this is coming from someone who played in an environment where people fed me that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It did not make me perform better ever.
No.
It might have made me wackier and dumber.
Yeah. And funnier to some people.
But only if you were drunk and high.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, it got to a point. Yeah, you go ahead and then we can talk
but
about
I
know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I remember I heard Joe Rogan say something about, yeah, it helps me and all this crap. And I was like, is it just me? Like, am I losing it? And then I remember there was one time where I smoked a little bit and I went to Walmart and I was just, out of it. And I came out of Walmart and I like couldn't find my car for like 30 minutes. I was it's funny, but then it started.
Dude, where's my car?
Yeah, literally, dude, where's my car? But seriously, like my memory was just like, I was just
short-term memory gets fired when you smoke that stuff, dude. It
exactly.
just does.
Yeah. So I would have appointments. Let's say I cold call someone, set an appointment for tomorrow at 11. I would remember the next day at like 12, like, oh shoot, I had an appointment and I just missed it. Like it started really affecting my memory and all this crap. And I was still doing well. I was still closing deals, but I was like, dude, I am freaking leaving a lot of money on the table now because I can't get it together.
Right.
And I couldn't quit. I would try to quit and then I would start again. And I would try to quit and I would start again. I would get a little, we might blur it out, a pipe. I'd smash it on the floor and be like, I'm not doing this anymore.
I've been there before. I know all about this, dude.
Yeah. And I would have a little baggie and I'd throw it away. But then 2 days later.
People, dude, cannabis is an addictive substance.
Yes.
And I know people out there would be like, what do you know? Dude, I traveled with Afro Man, the guy that wrote the song Because I Got High.
Yeah.
I know it's addictive.
Yep. Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
Cypress Hill, Afro Man, House of Pain. Like, dude, I've ripped stages with those guys before, as well as ripped a couple other things with them. And so I know that it is addictive, and it got to a point with me. I mean, we might as well just get super real. But I got pulled over in California.
Uh-huh.
It was the night of my engagement.
Mm-hmm.
I asked Megan to marry me.
Mm-hmm.
For some odd reason, she said yes.
Yeah.
And then she went with a friend, and we were going to meet downtown. I got stopped in San Diego and got a DUI.
Oh, okay.
So I spent the night of my engagement in jail.
Yeah.
Just for all you guys out there.
No way.
Yep. And so then I stopped for a while. Like I played all the gigs at all the bars, sober. We got married, but I kept smoking in between. Like I had just cut my drinking down. Well, what do you think eventually happened?
You just pick back up.
Just picked back up again eventually.
Yeah.
And so after I did the that Cardone job, like a couple months later, I got stopped again.
Oh, okay.
And in California, you don't even need to be over the legal limit. You can get a driving under the influence, and it can be anything. You could take Tylenol PM and be adjusting your radio and a little bit wobbly, and they'll pull you over and say that you were under the influence of X chemical that was in there. Yeah. And they'll blood test you or whatever and charge you. I'm telling you guys, this stuff happens because I, after the second one, had to go to all these classes, all these meetings and whatever, and I literally quit everything the next day. And guess who I called that week to tell him that I needed to really change my life, I should have listened 2 months ago, was Brad.
Really?
And he's like, it's all good, dog. I got about 5 of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? He's like, dude, quit doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like, dude, this is really simple. How old are you now?
Yeah.
You did all these opportunities. I gave you all that advice. You're executing on it to a little bit. Now you don't have a choice.
Yeah, now you have to.
Now you have to do the social media thing. You have to get paid to be an MC. You got to do all this stuff because now you can't even get to this environment.
Yeah.
And I honestly think, and I'm not a real, I can't quote the Bible like Mr. Pineda can, okay?
That's funny.
But I will tell you this, that like, listen, God is real. And I had prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed to get out of the bars, to get sober, to be a speaker, to be a media CEO.
Yeah.
And that night when that happened, I truly, honestly believe that was God's will.
Got it. That's
I
cool.
really, truly believe that now looking back,
Yeah.
that I prayed and that was the answer. Well, now you don't have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard to say that kind of stuff and like try and shed in a positive light. But since 2018, I've been sober. My license was suspended for almost 4 years. When we first met, like all the last 3.5 years, I couldn't even drive anywhere. My wife had to drive me everywhere like a baby.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I literally last year had the biggest year of my career. Like the first year I met you guys was like, that was the first year I ever made 6 figures. And then like I started doing your guys' events. We did like 600 last year. We're teetering on $1 million year as an agency. And it's like, I drive the Porsche Taycan, the RP special. And I mean, dude, my life is way different.
Got it.
But if I wouldn't have accepted that stuff is going to ruin my life and left it all behind, I don't know that I would have really grown into what I'm becoming. And I never even used to talk about that stuff. But I think it's important because just like you're one relationship away from success, you could be one mistake away from completely screwing yourself out of your future.
Yep.
And I don't want that to happen to anybody either. So if I got to put myself out there and be the butt of a couple jokes, I'm okay with that.
100%.
Because at the end of the day, it's like you make decisions every day that are going to decide what happens to your future.
Yeah.
And you could think it's no big deal. That night, I had like 2 drinks that night. I still got hosed because that's the law. 0, dude.
Yeah. 100%.
It's 0 for you. Didn't matter. Couldn't get out of it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it happened. And I asked for something to get in the way of all this stuff so that I could turn it into what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that was the moment that it happened.
Yeah.
And sometimes your blessings come in the form of this massive failure and my life is over and my wife's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And how am I going to get out of this? Sometimes, dude, when you figure out how to pivot in those moments, that's when you go on a completely different trajectory and you become this whole different version of yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why Carlos trusted me to be on his stage.
Yeah.
Because he's like, dude, this guy's really trying to be a husband and a father and a businessman. And it's like, this is the opportunity that he needs.
Yeah.
The real people will see what you really need.
100%.
But you got to put yourself in the position to get those people to know who you are and ask the right questions.
There you go. Well, if people want to find you, Pat, where do they go?
Hit me on the gram, Pat Hilton Live on Instagram, Pat Hilton on Facebook, Pat Hilton everywhere. And, I'm just a good old Irish American living the dream.
Beautiful. All right, guys, this was the Wealthy Investor Podcast. We are out. Peace.